on in, my friend.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I printed this out in a hurry and should have used a bigger font. I might be winging some of this, but I want to make sure this will make me look smart. Let's talk about our book, Particular Peyton during Damien. And you get this side, I don't know if you guys might have read it, you may know about it, I might just be preaching at the choir, but you get Damien's side, his version as a kid growing up, and then you flip it over and you get my version of what it was like and what I went through. So, bear with me for a moment. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you for so much for having me, and my beautiful family, and my family. I've got a whole section, and I'm so proud. Thank you for far and near, and I'm grateful. Thank you. So maybe I'll teary. Don't take much. Okay. Thank you for giving me the honor to speak to you. The first time I ever stepped foot in a UU church was in LJ, Georgia, 2018. And I never even heard of one, actually, until we were invited. I had no idea, but I enjoyed it so much and the message, and I was so moved by it. We were visiting my then fiance's auntie. She attended the local UU. She wanted her friend and the Reverend to give us a marriage blessing prior to our upcoming nuptials. He was also a Wiccan high priest, and he not only blessed us, he did a whole thing. He's a man of color, a gay man of color. He had eye glitter and sculptured nails, and he had heels on, and I thought it was the most amazing thing ever. And can't really top that. So, but my husband on occasion will also remind me that when you are joined with that much power, you are bound for eternity. And some days that sounds absolutely amazing, and others I'm like, oh. On January 1st, 2019, my youngest child and I announced that we were presenting our little book, Particular Peyton during Damien, to the world. It was self-published and is self-published, and there wasn't a big press release or anything, but it sure took off with local people wanting to hear what an affirming parent and flourishing trans child had to say and how we got there. There wasn't a book like that as we got up to our journey of me supporting my child. There was books for people who had gone that journey, but there wasn't for what I was going through, what I was feeling. So I wrote this one. And a little secret is that I knew a lot of people who might love their kid and read Damien's side of the book might not necessarily want to grow anymore in that aspect. So I stuck some information on that side and kind of tricked them in and had to read this short little book. So kind of squeezing some information in there, and that's what born our foot book. It's been an incredible and sometimes scary journey, much like parenthood and marriage. And the reason I say marriage is scary, I met Mike on my journey to affirming my child because he also happens to be transgender. My marriage is wonderful and incredible because of the person he is. But it's scary because my husband, who is also trans, I have two people in my immediate family who I love deeply being attacked even more than normal. It's been 4 years since we announced our book to the world, and it seems like a lifetime ago. But then it's not that long ago, because time flies, it feels sometimes, especially when you get older. 4 years. That amount of time to turn a toddler into a second grader, a freshman into a senior, and a Republican majority into a legislative minority. I wasn't sure that what I wanted to say to y'all today, because it seemed like I had made all the points in other speeches in the past when we had our little area or book tour. 4 years, my family lived in a safer state, a safer country, and a safer city. But 2 years ago, we decided we wanted some land with our house, and we couldn't afford where we were living any longer if we wanted that. So I feel, by divine intervention, because my grandpa Jack, who has since long passed away, told me some dreams I was having. Come on, gal, I got a house for you, let's go. So, I followed the signs and went to go see this house. My husband being dragged, kicking and screaming. He does not like change, and the internet pics were awful. It worked out good for us, but he did not want to go. But to make a long story short, we saw that property that day, right on the edge, near the creek and the cows, on a small white cross with writing in black paint. It said, "We love you, Jack." That's my grandpa saying. Thankfully, we were able to purchase that house, and we truly love it. In 4 years, I have learned about white fragility, my own privileges, just by the color of my skin and my own gender identity that happened to match what I was told I was at birth. I've learned about my own ignorances, and sadly, people that I care about around me, their deep, willful ignorances and refusal to change. So I started digging deep when those blinders fell off of me, such as the time when I realized that my gay child also happened to be trans. I've always been the person who didn't want to be willfully ignorant. If something was brought to my attention, I was open to change. I wanted to know, I wanted to be educated, and apologize if I hurt someone when I did something out of ignorance. I mentioned earlier, 4 years ago, when we started this journey of our book, we lived in a safer city. We lived in Franklin, Tennessee. That is no longer the case. 4 years ago, this wonderful book, to me, was able to be brought out by my loving and accepting nature, and has unlocked new friendships that are genuine, new spaces gained where I can be safe and my family can be safe, but also spaces where I can change someone's world for the better, with the knowledge that I have gained by being willing to put my affirmation for my child and my husband on paper and stand behind it. A few years ago, I was presented an award by the fabulous drag queen, Veronica Electronica. It was an award for openly loving my child. My acceptance speech may have sounded ungrateful. It was not. My feelings were astonishment. Because I just couldn't fathom not loving my child and helping them through this journey. And then I got a certificate for that. The knowledge I gained from my own journey and putting into the book and hardly see me. Put it in this book for others. Oh, thank you so much. Usually the wrong. The knowledge that I gained from my own journey and putting it into the book for others also magically unlocked my youngest child's ability to just breathe and exist in their own skin they were born into. Also, that book locked me out of family and friend invites, family text messages, reunions. That magic book had two sides, even in my life, because it unlocked spaces and locked others. But because I'm an open ally and advocate, these spaces are also no longer as safe for me, for who I love. But that's also when my stubborn and indignant nature kicked in. Excuse me. I know the world feels so dark right now in places directly around us. We can't pretend we don't live in this environment, even though we want to, here in Tennessee and in America. It is dark right now, and there are laws being passed that restrict and remove voting rights for people of color, gerrymandering, medical rights. I speak of the laws being passed targeting people of color and their ability to vote, trans people's rights to exist, especially trans people of color and women of color, trans women of color, are in the most danger. Sadly, people of color have been having these fights all their lives, and I can only speak for myself that I had no idea. We do need to be realistic, but not hopeless. There are normal human moments of hopelessness. I am very upbeat, positive-minded person who rarely suffers from deep, dark depression, thoughts, or anxiety. I do still have those moments where I need a hug too. I love sunny days and stormy nights. The Mother Earth, Gaia, creates and needs those weather events as well to thrive. We actually do too. There's not growth without sun and rain, good and bad. The sun is a giver of life. We physically have to have it or we get sick. Ironically, too much of it can cause cancer, heat strokes. Storms bring rain and lightning. These storms can drown you, and lightning can electrocute you. We have to have everything in moderation for our best lives. Scripture states in Ecclesiastes 3:1-8 of seasons that advise on times such as these. The pendulum swings back and forth in all of human history. Ecclesiastes 3:7-8 states there's a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak up, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Those words can be comforting at times, but also being told things will get better can sound condescending, dismissive, or at best placating. It can sound like a lie. There's a project that was created several years ago aimed at the youth in the LGBTQIA+ community called the Gets Better Project. That statement is still true. It does get better, but to be honest, I would imagine the people who started that project are feeling anxious and worried some days now too. And other days they have to really lean into that message for comfort of their movement. Even standing in this sacred space that y'all have built and come, there are most likely people who may not feel safe at home or at school. Maybe you don't feel you have anyone to share your truth. Or maybe you shared your truth, but they didn't or wouldn't or couldn't hear what you had to say. But no, I do hear you. I see you, and you are valid. If you need a hug from me, after this is over, please come find me. I'll give you
Okay.
a giant hug, or a fist bump, or a high five, whatever you're comfortable with. I get that some people don't like hugs, and my youngest, my trans child, is the one who taught me that. He tolerates my hugs most days, but then there are some wonderful, wonderful moments, surprise occasions, where I get a giant hug without prodding, and I hold on to him until he lets go. I usually don't let him go either without getting him some kisses. On his cheek, sit on his head like I'm a Jewish mom. Good luck. He tolerates those moments too. Sometimes he seems to enjoy it. The speech isn't meant to be all doom and gloom, but it's important to talk about hard stuff. It's important to release dark feelings, dark thoughts, especially with a deep inhale breath, and to let it go. Let out the still air. There's plenty of it. Breathe it in. Take in fresh air. Sometimes I feel fear and anxiousness feeling in my tummy, and I will tap it and then release it and let it go and take a rest or get back to work, or both. It probably feels like you all don't have any power as young people, but you do. But it also feels that way for us as older folks. What is happening? How can we stop this happening so fast? But not voting in your best interest has gotten us here. Hang on. Make small choices where it can matter. It will get better. We are fighting for everyone. I mentioned earlier that I used to live in a safer city. We moved from Franklin to Summertown, Tennessee, pretty close to Pulaski, the home of the establishment of the KKK. My privilege and not thinking about where I was moving to, just, hey, we love this house and we can afford it, never dawned on me. But Pulaski now has an organized Pride yearly event. I'm astonished at the people that are brave down there doing that hard work. That's incredible and encouraging to me, and I hope it is to you too. I also learned recently from my dear friend Chris Sanders at Tennessee Quality Project that I happen to live in a small bubble. He drew us in a circle. I could draw out the state of Tennessee talking to me. At the bottom of this state, it is considered the most dangerous for anyone not white or cisgender that identifies with the sexes they were born with. He also mentioned that he needed someone down there for the TEP representative chair for the area because there was no representation for the outreach. After a little bit, I thought and accepted position and challenge. That's where my indignancy and stubbornness comes in. I got home after he told me about the bubble now lived in, and I looked up to the heavens and I said to my grandpa, gee, thanks. Recently, I read that the president of the Ford Foundation, white supremacy is the greatest threat to democracy. Democracy is the greatest threat to white supremacy. Because when democracy works, white supremacists will always reflexively, like they reflex, immediately get rattled. Whether it's in the 19th century or the 21st, when we stand up and fight for our democracy, it makes a difference. I'm a shamanic practitioner as well. Shamans, if you don't know, are the world's oldest minister, spiritual advisor, doctor for the tribes of humans from the beginning of history, oral and written, that they served. They were the people in the tribe or village would go to. I began that journey quite accidentally about 5 years ago, and if you want me to come another day and speak on that, I'm welcome to. Excuse me. We do something called awake dreaming, where you set an intention and ask the collective, can you show me what I want to see? One day, I set my intention to ask the universe to show me the new heaven and earth that is promised in Scripture and these tribes. I saw the collective humanity in my awake dream, bringing forth this new amazing earth. It gave me comfort. But we also have to go through the birth pains first. This new amazing earth was a beautiful, strong, black, feminine energy. It overwhelmed and moved me. We will get there. Do not give up. There are people in power right now that are hurting us, attacking us, and people we love. But nothing is forever. It is a season. Power is rarely given. It has to be taken. Vote. Indigenous people and Native Americans have always recognized and honored non-binary people. They were considered sacred for their knowledge of feminine and masculine in one body. They called them two-spirit. The Jewish people have 8 different acknowledgments for the gender spectrum. They have always made room for that because in their scripture, Genesis 1:26-27 says, God created Adam in his image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. God created them. It was understood from the beginning in that community that it was speaking of an androgynous person. When he pulled the rib to make Eve, then he pulled out the female part, so Adam wouldn't be alone. Christ tells us in John 14:12, you will do greater things than me. You will and you can. Finally, in closing, in this day, today, there are trans people who are openly living their true selves, their true lives. They got elected to office. Now, you're serving in our government. Let's remind ourselves of these good things and lift each other up. I know these people in the government making these laws to attack the community. They refuse to listen to reason and science. I've tried. Many people have tried. It's really disheartening. But in this moment, I would like to quote a great woman, I think a genius of our time, who inspires me. She recently stated, I'm going to try and do her voice. You know, in high school, if you didn't believe in science, it was called failing. You are amazing. Own that shit. You are. Thank you.